E a CNN conversou com o Comissário Europeu de Ação Climática, Wopke Hoekstra, sobre a COP30, que vai ser realizada aqui no Brasil, em Belém. Em entrevista à âncora do Bastidores CNN, Tainá Falcão, Hoekstra destacou que é preciso realizar um grande esforço para limitar o avanço da temperatura global. Ele também comentou sobre a saída dos Estados Unidos do Acordo de Paris, além da necessidade de ações para conter a mudança climática e os desafios também do Brasil ao sediar este evento. Vamos ouvir.
Olá, sejam muito bem-vindos. Eu sou a Tainá Falcão. A gente conversa agora com o Comissário Europeu de Ação Climática, Wopke Hoekstra. Essa entrevista será conduzida em inglês com o comissário e depois traduzida. Welcome, nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for having me.
There is no longer in realistic terms much belief that limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 200 and 1,000 is still feasible. What would be the correct stance to adopt today?
So you're absolutely right. It will be difficult given how much CO2 we're currently pumping into the air. And yet it is extremely important that we do limit this to 1.5 degrees. Because if we don't, the damage for citizens and businesses and ecology in Brazil, in Europe, but frankly speaking, all over the globe will be huge. So let's make a maximum effort to make sure we deliver.
André Correia do Lago, our president in COP30, has pointed out that while the U.S. government left the Paris Agreement, the United States as a whole did not, highlighting states and companies that continue to uphold climate commitments. Yet at the same time, we see many major banks withdrawing from Alliance for Decarbonization and softening their environmental commitments. How do you view this contradiction?
Well, let me start by saying that André, as president of the COP, is truly doing an amazing job. He is extremely proactive. He was with me and others in Europe a couple of weeks ago, and Brazil is truly putting its full force behind the COP, and that is very, very important. Secondly, he is absolutely right. It is unfortunate that the US is pulling out. They are the second largest emitter, they are the largest economy, and they are the biggest power, if you will, across the globe. So it does matter if such a country no longer plays ball. At the same time, my view is that indeed many of the US states and many of the US companies, for a whole set of reasons, will continue. And again, humanity doesn't have a choice here. The problem is there, whether we ignore it or not. And the damage will only go up if we don't do enough in present day.
Recording COP30, there have been many concerns about the logistical cost, both within and outside of Brazil. Some reports actually even mention that certain European delegations they are considering not attending due to the high cost of accommodation. Is this an issue Brazil should urgently address?
Well, once again, Brazil is, in my view, doing a fantastic job in all the elements that are linked to the content. So making sure we do more in terms of mitigation, making sure we embark on pricing of carbon, making sure we do more on financing that the whole world needs in the domain of climate. You're right, logistics for every COP, the same was true in the Emirates, the same was true the last COP in Baku, is always complicated. Because in a way you're inviting the whole world to your own home. So literally almost 200 countries are coming, businesses are coming, and that is logistically complicated. But personally, I'm absolutely convinced Brazil will pull this off. So
it's not a concern of Brazil yet? It's a concern for every country that is hosting a COP. And indeed, I'm the first to acknowledge that it is complicated. Like if you have your whole house full of guests, that is way more difficult when you just have your neighbors over. So it is complicated, but I am sure that Brazil will manage and will make this into a fantastic COP, both in terms of its logistics, but certainly also, and that is way more important, in terms of the substance that we have to deal with as a global community. The Brazilian government has been given significant diplomatic attention to COP30,
Yep.
as we see. In your view, what factors could make this summit a success or, on the contrary, risk undermining its impact?
We will make it into a success, and as I was just saying, the fact that Brazil, one of the largest and most important players at the global stage, is putting its full weight behind it, matters a lot. And also, the Lula government has a lot of credibility in terms of environmental policy and in terms of climate policy. So the fact that this government is pushing for more ambition on mitigation, but also on adaptation, matters a lot because it inspires and incentivizes countries from all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, what should Brazil prioritize to secure a meaningful place on the global climate agenda? What homework do we have to do?
Well, it is homework not just for Brazil, but for all of us. And that is one of the reasons I am here, because we all, and certainly Brazil and the European Union, do want to make this into a success. Humanity cannot afford a failure of this COP. The problem simply is too large. So what are a couple of the elements we and Andre in particular is focusing on? One is making sure we get much more concrete in our climate actions. So we have all sorts of plans in driving down emissions, but you have to be concrete how you will arrive at more renewables, how you're phasing out fossil fuels, how you make sure that you do more in the domain of adaptation. That is one. Secondly, what Brazil has recently passed is legislation to price carbon. That is something we have in Europe as well, and Brazil and Europe would love other countries to do the exact same thing, because that is actually a very effective tool. And third is about financing. Extremely important, because many in the developing world need more finance. Just to give you here the numbers, Europe is financing roughly 1/3 of all the international climate financing that goes around. So a very substantial part, and we're sticking to that commitment, even though the geopolitics of this moment is of course increasingly difficult.
Thank you, Commissioner, for this interview.
Thank you.